Okay, for Algebra 10.1 notes, we are learning about the Pythagorean Theorem. So the Pythagorean Theorem only works in right triangles. So keep in mind, if this is just a typical triangle, we are not going to be using the Pythagorean Theorem. It only applies to right triangles. And so a right triangle means one of its angles is 90 degrees. So take a look at this picture. In the 90-degree triangle, I want you to be aware of some words that are vocabulary words that we're going to be using. The two side lengths that make up that 90-degree angle, so wherever that 90-degree angle corner is, the two side lengths that touch it are called the legs. So this is a leg on this side, and this is a leg on this side. And the one that doesn't make up the 90-degree angle, the one across from it, which I'm going to add these little dashed lines to, is called the hypotenuse. And that is always the longest side. So you're going to have two shorter legs and one long side, which is called the hypotenuse. And it's always the side that's across from the 90-degree angle. So if the 90-degree angle was up here, the hypotenuse would be down here. So it's always the one across from the 90-degree angle, and again, it's always the longest. Okay, once you know that we're dealing with a right triangle, you can go ahead and apply the Pythagorean theorem. And the Pythagorean theorem states that if a squared is added to b squared, it will always exactly equal c squared. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared is actually what the Pythagorean theorem is. And now let's talk about what in the world a, b, and c are. In this diagram, you have an A, a B, and a C. And I want you to notice specifically that the A and the B are the two legs. So A is the short leg and B is the long leg, but really it doesn't matter because if I added 1 plus 2, it's the same answer as 2 plus 1. So when you're adding, it doesn't matter which one you make your A and which one you make your B, as long as you know that they are the legs. Okay, and then they equal c squared, and c has to be the hypotenuse. So I don't care which one you use for A and which one you use for B, but c has to be the longest side, the hypotenuse side. So, and again, it's not just A plus B that adds up to c, it's A squared plus b squared, and it has to equal what c is squared. So it's a good thing we have kind of been working with exponents a little bit because that will help when we're doing this. So here is a picture of a tile, and what they're wanting to know is what is the length of the hypotenuse of this tile. So obviously the two legs are the same length. It does not matter which one we use for A and which one we use for B. They're interchangeable, but what we're looking for definitely is the hypotenuse, is the C side. So we are going to write our Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And now we're just going to change a, b, and c to these numbers. A is 6 inches, so 6, keep the squared on it, plus b is also 6 inches, so 6 squared, equals, we don't know what c is. That's what we're trying to find out. So let's leave it c squared. All right, and then let's just start to solve what we know. 6 squared is 36, plus another 6 squared is another 36, and it just equals c squared because we don't know. So you can go ahead and add these. 36 plus 36, use your calculator, it is 72. And 72 would be our answer, but that's not what c is. That's what c squared is. And also, if we had 72 for our answer, I hope you guys would look over here and be like, that doesn't make sense. If this side is only 6 inches and this side is 6 inches, there is no way that this side can be 72 inches. That's unreasonable for an answer. So what we need to do is we need to get c by itself. And currently it's being squared. So we're going to do the opposite, which is square root it. And it doesn't come out evenly, so I'm going to get out my calculator. And I'm going to do the square root of 72, and that equals an irrational, crazy number. So we're going to round it. I don't think it said, so let's just round to the nearest tenth for our purposes for today. So that would be 8 point, the 8 bumps it up to a 5, so 8.5. We'll call it about 8.5. So about 8.5, and it's inches. Okay, let's do, take a minute to pause the video and you try one where it says, what is the hypotenuse of a triangle with leg lengths of 9 centimeters and 12 centimeters? So it doesn't matter which one is your A and which one is your B, but those are your legs. All right, so push pause and try this one and check your answer with me. All right, I'm just gonna write it into our formula. If A is 9, I'm gonna put 9 squared plus B is 12, 12 squared, equals, we don't know, we're trying to find the hypotenuse, so we're gonna leave C. 9 squared is 81, 12 squared is 144. If you add 81 plus 144, oops, sorry, it is 225. And if you take the square root of 225, it is 15. So this one came out evenly. So the hypotenuse is 15 centimeters. All right, let's go ahead and try something different. This time I'm flipping it on you and we are missing a leg length. So in this particular picture, I actually gave you this time the hypotenuse. So in the previous two questions, we were looking for the hypotenuse and this time we have it. It's kind of hard to see. That's supposed to be a 5. Okay, so this time if we have the C, when we're filling these out, I'm gonna make this my A just because it already says B down here, but it doesn't matter which is which out of A and B. So I'm gonna put 5 squared plus B squared because we don't know what B is, but we do know the hypotenuse is 13, so it's gonna equal 13 squared. So this one is different than the previous two because now we're missing one of the legs. So I am going to solve it just like you would any equation. 5 squared is 25. We don't know B squared, so I'm going to leave it plus B squared. 13 squared is 169, I believe. Double check on your calculator. And then you're just doing a two-step equation. What would you do next? You would subtract 25 from both sides. Bring down your B squared. 169 minus 25 is 144, and I love that because it does come out evenly. When you square root 144, it is 12. So 12 centimeters would be the other leg length. And if you look, that makes sense. That's a reasonable answer because 5 and 12 are both shorter than 13, which has to be the longest side. Okay, we've got a U-try where you're given the hypotenuse and once again you're missing one of the leg lengths. So pause the video and you try this one. Okay, and so I'm going to leave A as A because we don't know what it is. B is going to be my other shorter side, 12 squared, and it equals the long side. The hypotenuse is 15. Don't forget squared. So when you solve this, we don't know what A is. B is 144, C is 225, and so I'm going to subtract 144 from both sides. Bring down your A squared. 225 minus 144 is 81, which is great because 81 has a perfect square root, and it is 9. So 9, it didn't give us inches or whatever, so we're just going to go with 9. Okay, let's look at the next page. So here's the thing. If I give you all 3 lengths of the sides of a triangle, you can determine whether or not it is a right triangle, because if we took the 2 shorter sides, for example in A, the 6 and the 24, and if we squared them, if we squared 6 and we squared 24, it would have to exactly equal whatever 25 squared is. And if it does not, then it cannot be a right triangle. But if it does, then it is. So we're trying to determine which of these is going to be a right triangle based on which 2 of these, when squared and added, exactly equal the third side. So I'm going to do 6 squared plus 24 squared equals 25 squared. And let's just see if it does. I know 6 squared is 36. I have no idea what 24 squared is. 24 times 24 is 576. And I have no idea what 25 squared is. 625. All right, so does 36 plus 576 exactly equal 625? 36 plus 576 equals 612. So 612 does not equal 625. So this one is not the right triangle. All right, let's try the next one. 4 squared plus 8 squared, does it equal 10 squared exactly? 4 squared is 16. 8 squared is 64. 10 squared is 100. Does 64 plus 16 equal 100? 64 plus 16 equals 80, I believe. And 80 does not equal 100. So once again, this one's not going to be a right triangle. Let's keep going. 10 squared plus 24 squared equals 26 squared. We'll find out. 10 squared is 100. 24 squared is 576. Oops, I did that earlier and I forgot. 26 squared is 676. So 576 plus 100 is 676, which does equal 676. So this one could definitely be a right triangle. So I think there's only one correct answer, but let's be sure. 8 squared, and by the way, I want you to be sure you know that I'm not just putting them in the order that they gave it to me. I know this is the correct order to put them in because I'm always looking for that longest side to be what it's equal to. So this is 64, this is 225, I don't know what 16 squared is. 256. And 225 plus 64 does not equal 256. Instead, it equals 289. So this is another no. Okay, pause the video and do the U-try. We're wondering if lengths 20, 47, and 52 could be a right triangle. All right, so you should have set it up just how we've been doing the other ones. 20 squared plus 47 squared, does it equal 52 squared? 20 squared is 400. 47 squared is 2209. And 52 squared is 2704. So when I add 400 plus 2209, it would just be 2609, and 2609 does not equal 2704, so this could not be a right triangle. All right, this is just our real quick lesson check to see if you can do all three of these. This would be a great time to pause the video and try it, and then check my answers, but this will recap all three of the different ways we've learned about Pythagorean theorem for today. Okay, so I'm going to write them below if you're ready to go through the U-try. This is the hypotenuse, so it should have been 15 squared plus 36 squared equals c squared because we don't know what length that longest hypotenuse side is. 15 squared is 225. 36 squared is 1296. And so when you add these two together, you should have gotten 1521, and that equals c squared. So in order to find out what just c by itself is, we need to square root both sides. So the square root of 1521 is 39 exactly. So c equals 39. All right, in the second one, we are given the hypotenuse, and we're missing one of the legs. And again, it doesn't matter if that's A and that's B, or if that's B and that's A. So I'm just going to do, I'll just use y, in fact. Y squared plus 24 squared equals 25 squared. And I could have changed that to A or B, it doesn't matter. So y squared is what we don't know. 24 squared is 576. And 25 squared is 625. So I will just solve the equation And what I mean by that is I will subtract 576 on both sides. I will bring down my y squared. 625 minus 576 is 49, and I love seeing 49 because I know that's a perfect square. So when I square root it, it will mean y is equal to 7. So this should be 7. Okay, and in the very last one it says, could the lengths 12, 35, and 37 be a right triangle? So let's just check and see. So I'm going to put 12 squared, I'm going to add it to 35 squared because those are my two legs, and see if it equals the hypotenuse squared, which is the 37. So this would be 144. 35 squared is 1225. And 37 squared is 1369. So let's see if when we add these two, it exactly equals the other. So 144 plus 1225 does equal exactly 1369. These do equal each other, which means the answer is yes. This is going to be a right triangle.